theatricality and deception. Powerful agents to the uninitiated, but we are initiated.
I'm super excited!
We find ourselves is due to our own actions or inactions. Because it is our own fault, we are the only ones who can change future events. Education seems to me to be a major part of the solution. The remaining part is the abolition of secrecy. Through ignorance or misplaced trust, we as a people have abdicated our role as the watchdog of our government. If we had done our jobs as citizens, we would never have reached this point. Most of us are completely ignorant as to even the most basic functions of our government. We have truly become a nation of sheep.
Well, I didn't know that.
Hello, and welcome to an all-new exciting Conspire Deception original series. In this series, we will dig down to the deepest depths of the earth, swim the darkest part of the ocean, fly to the uncharted territories of space, just to bring you this groundbreaking new series, Forgotten History. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Wait, that's not right. Welcome to Forgotten History, the only show that unearths history's buried secrets. I am your host, Eli Kilman. This series is packed full of little bits of information, forgotten with the passing of time. They say history is written by the victors. It used to be way too easy, and sometimes still today, for a terrorist group to swarm and move in on an area, take captive or kill that civilization, then take all the pre-existing history, throw it in a hole to be buried and forgotten about, just to set the root to a new foundation hidden with lies that founded the very foundation of this new rewritten history. We've seen this act well too many times in the past and present. And since history repeats itself, I'm sure we will see this continue in the future. It really is sad when you stop to think about all the history that has been destroyed. Take Alexander the Great's library, for example. Alexander traveled the world for information that could be brought back to his library in Rome. When the Roman Empire fell, the library was burned down and everything in it destroyed. Destroyed and to be forgotten about for future generations to come. I can only imagine the secrets of the universe that was held in that library. Secrets of lost civilizations. And secrets to missing puzzle pieces for our history. All could be answers for unanswered questions. Well, the past is the past. It's not worth crying over spilt milk. So let's move on. Come join me for a second. Let's climb into our imaginary time machines. Hit the accelerator to 88 miles per hour. And let's go back in time. Back more. Let's travel back to Rome and the Roman Empire and when it was at its peak in time. Ah, yes, Rome. Rome was a noisy and stinky place, full of bacteria, germs, and sickness. Of course, you had your poor people. And then you had the Roman Empire, all rich and high-class royalty. And that's where we will find who we will be talking about today. There he is, right there. Hey, little guy. Ah, Julius Caesar. We've heard this name many, many times. I'm not here to tell you the same old story that we've heard in school. I'm here to tell you a story that you haven't heard in school. But first, let's learn some fun facts about Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, born around 100 BC in Rome, Italy, died at the age of 55, betrayed at the hands of his fellow people. It's been rumored that he dated Cleopatra for a short time. He was also known to be smart and come up with quick tactics on the battlefield. Although he did not rule for long, he gave Rome a fresh hope and a whole new dynasty of emperors. He was born during dangerous times. The story we will learn about today is a very exciting story. It can only be put into words as something you would see in a movie. Julius Caesar was a Roman general and statesman who played a critical role in the events that led to the demise of the Roman Republic and rise of the Roman Empire. Caesar, along with a few others, formed the first political alliance that dominated Roman politics for several years. His own people referred to him as a bald whoremonger. And then you have the part in history that everyone knows about. Betrayed and stabbed to death by the leaders of Rome. But wait, before you start feeling bad for this guy, he was not a nice man. He was historically described as much cunning as he was ruthless. One time, he cut all the hands off of an army that he captured. Yikes. An Empire colleague referred to his wariness and energy of the boogeyman are such terrifying thoughts. Okay, whatever that means. Whatever it means, I don't think it's good. We all know that Caesar was the general of the Roman army. They were tough, ruthless, always looking for a fight, and wouldn't back down or give in to any army. Examples of this was their training. Training in sword weaponry. Training that taught them to go for the inner organs. You know, a little bit of stab, stab, poke, poke. If they didn't get the job done, the wounds from you bleeding to death would. At this point, the Roman Empire, army, and civilization have been at war with the Gaul for 6 years now. In the middle of the 2nd century, the Roman Empire pursued outward to the surrounding territories and already claimed land. Claiming land and fighting anybody that stood in their way. During these separate battles that lasted for over a decade, they collided with the Gaul. And this was referred to as the Gallic Wars. Ah, the Gaul. The Gaul was an army made up of mixed orientations of civilizations with different origins. Much like the Vikings, they were described as a barbaric Celtic race. So yeah, they were Vikings. The Gaul had already taken over France, Belgium, Western Germany, and Italy. And they have already collided and taken over back in past events. Much like the Romans, the Gaul had a fighting style of their own. They also trained for the kill shot. Unlike the Romans, though, their style didn't take much training. Just aim for the head, or just take it off at the neck. Now, the Gaul appointed a leader during these Gallic Wars. His name? General Vercingetorix. Yeah, whatever. It's a tongue twister. We will refer to him as General Vex. He quickly took charge and commanded his new army to start attacking villages that had strayed too far from the Roman property. Caesar vastly took notice of this horrendous act and began to conduct a series of cat-and-mouse strategies that led all over the area for years. Basically, the Gaul was doing the same thing the Romans have been doing for a long time. The Romans didn't like it. Finally, the Roman army got close enough to General Vex and his army of the Gaul. The Gaul was made up of 60,000 troops, and they quickly retired to the nearest city where they could refurnish and lay dormant and hidden from Caesar and his Roman army. This city was referred to as the famous Alesia. The city was massive, and it stood on a hill. A good strategy for a defense hold attack. Defense, defense, defense. Here we have Caesar and the Roman army caught up to General Vex and the Gaul. Caesar himself describes the city in historic documents. The stronghold of this city was at an extremely lofty position on top of a hill, apparently impregnable, except by the means of a siege of 2 sides of the foot of the hill, washed by rivers, and about 3 miles there stretched a plain in front of the town. I take that as it was a big, beautiful city on a hill, and would be hard to attack with only one army. I don't know why Caesar had to get all Shakespeare on us, but he did. Caesar had to plan and play out an attack fast. His 50,000 soldiers was nothing compared to General Vex's army with 92,000 troops. But Caesar did have a plan, and it was a genius plan, a smart strategy. He commanded his men to build a wall around the city, to force its citizens and welcomed enemies to starve to death. This was not an easy task. Not only was the city on a hill, but it was in between two river streams. It wasn't as easy as just putting up a wall overnight, like Legos. No, this wall took days, and the Gauls sure didn't make it easy on the Roman army. They made many failed attempts at stopping the empire from completing this genius strategy. In fact, 3 miles between the city's walls and the 10-foot Roman wall, a particular battle took place that Caesar talks about many times as he recapped about this historic event. In the story, Rome was losing. Then they sent out their German troops, and it sent the enemy running back to the city, only to have General Vex refuse to open the gates to the city. They say it was because the battle was so brutal and horrifying that the army left them out to slaughter like sheep fed to the wolves. These attacks got so recent and out of control that the Roman army had to keep adding defense mechanisms to slow these sneak attacks down. There are many different claims of what happened and what strategies and tactics they used. This is an example of what our best historians could come up with. The first step they would have to come across is these holes separated inches apart. Inside these holes was some kind of spike or stake. Not much room to move around when there's hundreds of men. Then we have two 15-foot drop trenches. One filled up with water from the nearby stream. Then one more 20-foot deep trench. Then you come across a wall of sharp spears and stakes. Just when you thought you was almost to the 10-foot wall, they had one more trick up their sleeves. Spikes along the wall that can be controlled by soldiers on the other side and can be penetrated through, moved forward and backwards at any given moment. Talk about American gladiators on steroids, or Wipeout to the extreme. Now remember, if you made it through all these booby traps, now you would have to face the Roman army. The goal was getting close to the end of their 30 days supply of food and rations. They decided to send away the women, children, and anyone who couldn't fight to the Roman army as an offering of enslavement. Caesar declined. He declined the 3,000 civilians, sent them packing their bags. But as they approached the city's gates, General Vex refused to let them back in. Well, my, what a shock. If he did it once, he'd do it again. It's not like we didn't see this coming. Now, they were sent away to fend for themselves, living in between two walls, to most likely starve to death. One night, General Vex sent 12,000 soldiers to sneak past the enemy line, to ride to their previous tribes, and bring back anyone who would be willing to rise up and help with this conflict. They were referred to as the 12,000 Soldiers of Hope. These 12,000 soldiers of hope snuck out the back door. The Gaul army distracted Caesar and his army from the front gate. They rained the Roman enemy with arrows as far as the eye could see, as they moved in with built ladders, wicker hurdles, and ropes with hooks attached to them, all for the final showdown. They attempted this attack and final raid. The battle lasted days. Just long enough for the Hope soldiers to return with 8,000 cavalry and 240,000 infantry. As they approached the city, they couldn't believe their eyes. The Roman army completed two 10-foot walls around the city. This second wall was built to block off an outside attack. The cavalry found a weak spot on the wall and decided to fall through, breaking through this weak spot. The weak spot was a missing area in the wall due to a small hill that halted the construction. So the enemy was gaining ground. But Caesar couldn't go down like this. No. He took it up on himself and joined in the battle. The Roman army rushed this one area to help Caesar break through. What the Gauls thought would help them break through was actually a stage of death for a Roman slaughter. The witnesses of this horrific act ran away in terror. The city, General Vex, and the Gaul army lost. Neither of the two Roman walls were breached. After it was all over, I guess Caesar took pity on General Vex and the surrender of the Gaul army. He kept General Vex alive, but threw him in a prison for 6 years. Later, he must have changed his mind because he ordered him to be strangled to death. Oh my God, what a story. It had its ups and downs. Well, mostly ups. 2 walls built around a city during a battle. I don't know about you, but the next time I hear the name Caesar, I definitely will be thinking about this forgotten battle. The Battle of the Roman Empire and the 2 walls. Man, that was fun. Time flew by. That about does it for me, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank you for joining me, and thank you for helping me unbury history's forgotten secrets. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more educational content. Thank you for joining me, thank you for your time, and thank you for your support. I'm Eli Kilman, your host, and it's been a wonderful experience discussing this subject matter with you. See you next time on the next episode of Forgotten History, Unburying History's Secrets.